congratulations on the film. I get sent so many comedy films to watch, to review, and half of them don't make me laugh, but yours made me laugh so much. So congratulations on actually making a funny comedy film.
Thank you so much. That was literally the only goal we had. I agree with you completely. Comedies are not funny these days. The whole point was just like, let's have, one laugh every 10 or 20 seconds and not let up for an hour and a half.
So where did the idea come up for you in the first place? What made you decide to make a really funny Christmas movie?
Basically seeing the sheer amount of these movies that are all the exact same that get made here up in Canada. And then, like 50 or 100 of them come out every year. And they all literally follow the same plot line. And, of course, everybody that I know in the industry works on them. And I've been offered a chance at writing or directing them. And I've just always wanted to do my own take on that and to make fun of how silly and exactly the same all these movies are.
Yeah. I know from the past, talking to the guys that have made movies like Not Another Teen Movie and Scary Movie, that they put in a ton of research before they sat down to write the script. How many of these movies did you actually sit down and watch before you started on this script?
Enough. More than I ever care to admit. But, I mean, the good thing about this genre is that, you can kind of watch 2 or 3 and then get a perfect sense of what they are about, because they don't really change.
Yeah.
And it's something nice about that. I understand why that's comforting and why people like to watch them. And I mean, even I like to watch them sometimes if you just want to turn your brain off. So it was we did definitely do the research, and we wanted to make it look and feel as authentic as possible while totally making fun of it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your comedy writing. Like you said before that the aim was to make people laugh every 10 to 20 seconds. How do you make sure that that's happening, and how do you make sure that the gags that you're writing into the script are actually funny?
Yeah, that's a great question. It actually, thankfully with this one, I wrote it with my co-writer, Andy Lewis. And so basically the writing process of this was we had an outline and we had an idea of all kinds of jokes we wanted to do, and we would sit next to each other trading off scenes, and then I would write a scene and show it to him, and the whole point was just to make him laugh, and he would do the same thing with me. And so if we were laughing at each other's jokes, we had a pretty good idea that it was funny.
Yeah.
And then of course, because the script is packed with probably 500 or more jokes, there's just so much, and there's probably another 100 or 200 that got cut out of the movie because it wasn't as funny as we wanted. So we definitely had our choice of what ended up being the funniest. Some of it was funnier when it was put on camera, some of it was less funny. And so in editing, we just got to choose what's the funniest thing to put here, and how can it get us to the next laugh 10 seconds later.
Yeah. I was going to ask that, on set, did things still change? Because I recently watched the documentary about how they used to put together an episode of Friends, and a lot of the time, the writers were actually on set, and if a joke didn't work with the studio audience, they would actually rewrite that part of the script right there and then and have input from the cast. Did you find that things like that happen on a comedy that don't normally happen on a sci-fi or a horror?
Yeah, absolutely. I got my start actually writing for a sitcom, and so I was doing that. We were on set, we were on the stage when they did a joke, and if the joke didn't work, we would throw out alts. So that's a huge part of my process and how I like writing and directing a movie. So it was really fun because everybody got along, and it was really collaborative, and we would sit there, and even if something was funny, if it was just as funny, we would still try to come up with 5 to 10 alternate jokes that might be even funnier. And so a lot of the time we just had the option where the actors would run through a bunch of different jokes, and we could then end up deciding what was funniest.
Yeah. Does that change how you direct? Because like I said before, with a sci-fi or a horror, it's pretty much, this is the scene, let's do it, and if something doesn't work, you go back and change it. But with comedy, you're doing that. So does that change how you actually approach the film as a director?
Yeah, I think it just means that and certainly this is how I like to direct. It just means being open to anything and being ready to throw out your plan people get really stressed when that happens, but I think that's when the most creative stuff is filmed, when you just say, hey, look over there, something ridiculous is happening that we didn't plan. So I think it's just a matter of being open to that and being willing to find whatever the funniest thing is on the day, whether, the actor has a funny way of taking a sip of hot chocolate or whatever the little thing is. I think part of good comedy is narrowing in on that tiny little moment that's the funniest.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the casting, because you got the casting 100% right too, and that's part of what makes the comedy work. So how did you go about casting the film?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, because all of these similar movies are shot up here in Canada, basically every single person who auditioned, the script got around, and the whole acting community really wanted to be a part of it, because they have all spent their whole careers auditioning for the real version of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So these are people who, do Hallmark auditions weekly, and so it was really easy for us to get our pick of the best actors, because they want to make fun of these kinds of movies as much as we do. They also think that what we're doing is really funny, and that audiences, whether you love or hate the movies, would appreciate a unique spin on them. So we had, hundreds and hundreds of actors audition, and we were lucky to find some amazing, amazing actors who just, like you said, would be cast in the real version of this movie. So as a result, the whole thing is played really straight and is much funnier, because they're not comedic actors. They're not playing against type. It's very realistic that they would be in this kind of movie.
Yeah. So what stood out to you about Storm and Alexander? Because they are both absolutely brilliant in their roles. So what stood out about those two for you?
Well, we hired Storm first, because we were completely blown away by her tape, and then we had her audition in person, and she was even better, and she's just one of the most naturally funniest people that I know, and she's so nice to work with. And so we cast her first, and then had a bunch of really great actors come and audition against her for chemistry, and everybody was so good. It was so hard to decide. But ultimately, we got along with Alex really, really well, and he is just he's such an amazing collaborator. He's so great to work with, and they have such great chemistry in the movie, like you said, where they were able to just, they were having fun the whole time. They were able to riff off each other. When we weren't rolling, they were still joking around. It was just always fun to watch. And I think, one of the strongest things in the movie is just how good both of those leads are.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie that we all need at the moment with what's going on with the pandemic. I don't know about where you are, but we're just coming out of a lockdown that's pretty much lasted 7 months here. Drive-in cinemas actually opened tonight for the first time in about 6 months. So what's it like bringing a movie out during a pandemic?
Yeah, not great. This is actually my second film releasing during the pandemic. My first feature is called All About Who You Know, and it came out back in May, when this was all kind of still new to us. And so that one sort of got lost in the pandemic, and so this time releasing this, we knew it was a really funny comedy. Like you said, it's what the world needs. We all could use a good laugh. So we wanted to make sure that everybody would get a chance to see it safely, whether that's at drive-in screenings, where we're doing a bunch of those in Canada, or in the US. It's, everyone can see it from this comfort of their own home. It's on VOD and for free, completely free on the Tubi streaming app.
Awesome. I was going to ask about Tubi, because that seems to be one that's just starting to take off here in Australia. Tell us a little bit about that as a streaming platform and why it's so important for filmmakers like yourself.
Well, it was really interesting actually getting this, finding a way to release this movie during the pandemic, because we found, as much as we all love the movie, of course, streamers right now, the big streamers are just looking for anything with stars in it. They're not even willing to consider smaller movies. It doesn't matter the quality or the reception or anything. They just won't even look at it. So we had a really interesting opportunity with Tubi to release exclusively on Tubi for a few weeks. And of course, like you said, it's a huge upcoming streaming platform. It's a big competitor to Netflix. And the most exciting thing for us was that it's entirely free. So, this is the kind of movie that we think people will really love, and it will get spread by word of mouth. So by letting everyone see it totally for free on day one was really appealing to us, just because, hopefully it'll build and build closer to Christmas, and everybody will have a chance to see it without having to subscribe or pay for it or anything. It's just free.
Awesome. Well, Jake, I know a lot of our listeners are going to want to check out this film, so I guess to wrap up, what would you like to say to our listeners before they go and check out Cup of Cheer?
I would like to say that whether you like, cheesy Christmas movies or hate them, I really think you'll like Cup of Cheer. It's been a horrible, horrible year for a number of reasons, and I think that all you can really do is laugh. That's sort of the only way that you can get over how awful things have been and just try to escape for an hour and a half. This is a really great movie to do that. It's a Christmas movie. I wouldn't say watch it with your whole family. I would say watch it with your whole family that's like 14 and up, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a really, really funny, good time. It'll get you in the Christmas spirit, and tell your friends about it. And if you want a good laugh, watch Cup of Cheer.
Definitely. Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on our show today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I know that a lot of our listeners are going to go and check out Cup of Cheer as soon as it comes out. So congratulations again on such a fantastic film, and hopefully we get to chat again in the future.
Thank you so much, Dave. And also for anyone listening, if you would help us out as indie filmmakers and help support the film, if you really like it, you can follow us on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, @CupOfCheerMovie, and just, tweet about the film or post about it if you like it, and tell your friends to watch it. That would really mean a lot to us.
Definitely do that. Jake, thank you again so much. Stay safe, and hopefully we get to chat to you in the future.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. You too.
Okay, thanks, mate. Have a great day.